Hi, everybody. Looks like we just went live on our broadcast. My name is Dee Dee Carmichael. I'm here from United Way of Lebanon County. And today we're going to be talking about food insecurity in the county and getting some insight from two of our local food banks. We have here Shila Ulrich from Caring Cupboard and Bryan Smith from Lebanon County Christian Ministries, just to talk a little bit about what's going on with their business right now. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How's it going so far? I know there's been a lot of changes in your operation, and we kind of just want to get brief updates from both of you guys about how your day-to-day operation has changed since all of this started.
Go for it, Bryan. Take it away.
All right. Well, for us here at Lebanon County Christian Ministries, probably the biggest thing is that trying to keep the safety of our staff and our volunteers and our guests as a priority. Our organization has had a long-standing history of providing a safe, warm, or cool space in our lobby. And that's probably the biggest impact that we've had. This past Monday, we went to the operational hours of the lobby from 8:30 until 1 o'clock. Our free zone is still open there, so guests that know about our free zone, it's a place that we have some breads and some different items that we get through donations that we are processing through the free zone, some cold items, and then the clothing piece. So that's still open, but just reduced hours for 8:30 to 1 o'clock. From a free new meal perspective, we've gone to the to-go environment, which is we're almost 2.5 weeks into that or so. And so that's occurring on the backside at the door where our guests would typically enter the building for the free new meal. And for the most part, all the meals are coming out of LCCM building itself. And then from a distribution standpoint, we used to kind of do distribution all day long, all week long. We've changed that to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2 o'clock until 5 o'clock, scheduled as before. So folks have to call in and pick up. Call in to schedule their pickup of food. And then we're doing it every 15 minutes out the back door of our food pantry side. So that's probably the biggest change that's occurred for us is just the time and hours of operations.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Shila?
Yeah, so since its inception, the Caring Cupboard has been a choice pantry, which means our families can come in and choose items. They actually shop. It's like a shopping experience. And we had been open 5 days per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, in the morning and then Wednesday evenings as well. And we realized that we can't have people inside anymore. And so we went to a model that would allow us to do food distribution outside. And it was just kind of a pull up. You pull your car up, we load your car up in the back seat of the trunk, and you're on your way. We did that a couple of times for normal hours and realized it's a huge undertaking. So we decided that we would just pare down our hours into one day. So families are able to come to us between 3 and 7 p.m. On a Wednesday evening, and that would be the time, that's when the families are able to come to see us.
Thank you. So I know that you guys are both seeing some changes in your volunteer response as well. It's a difficult time to be organizing volunteers with all the social distancing and recommendations that we're seeing from the government and just in general. How are you guys responding to that situation? And is that having a big impact on your organization? I guess we'll take it back to Bryan.
Well, volunteers are a huge part of what we do. We operate we only have 9 staff members. One of those staff members being a part-time staff member, and that includes the shelter, the new meal, the clothing bank, and the food bank, and the food pantry. So we're 80 volunteers strong. We have absolutely seen a decrease in the number of volunteers because a lot of our volunteers are at-risk individuals, and we respect that and appreciate that and encourage them to stay home and do what they need to for their own health and their family's health. So we had that loss, but then you have the gain of the folks that maybe are not working right now and they want to give back. So we've had this kind of uptick. And I think, Dee Dee, you said it, but maybe you didn't mean it the same way that I'm going to say it, is that the management and the coordination of our volunteers is a big deal right now. It's, we have 4 different people coming in who've never worked together to prepare their new meal. That's a challenge. When we have preparing for TFAP distribution is a lot of preparation that goes into that. And then it's training and education of the folks kind of just in time. And just the coordination of the folks is a big deal for us. We actually have a separate link on our on our webpage at lccm.us that's an emergency volunteer request, and we're using that as a tool to target individuals who want to volunteer just in this time, to be able to get those folks to come in here and provide a service to the community, but organized approach and knowing who's coming in and when they're coming in.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Shila?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the same boat. We're 2 full-time staff, 1 part-time staff, so we rely on people, organizations, that sort of thing, to donate their time. And so, yeah, it's been a little bit. A lot of our volunteers are older, and so it's been a big challenge for us. So one of the things that we did this weekend that took a little bit of organization from my end, but it actually paid off, was that we started to do private packing for families, so they would be there by themselves during times that worked out for their family. And then I just left them very detailed instructions on what I needed them to do. So we had some stuff in their freezer that needed to be broke down, and some other things that we're doing, like shelf stable bags that we're giving out during our distribution. So we had people just keep making those and that sort of thing. And that worked out really well, because what we're finding is that people really want to give back. They want to be a part of what's going on, but it's scary, right? They don't want to go out. They're not really sure if it's okay to have their kids out or if it's safe or that sort of thing. So we try to create a safe environment where they could come be by themselves, and then they would be able to contribute if they were able to do something in response.
Yeah. And so Shila, your audio is cutting a little bit in and out, but if I understood that right, you guys are kind of changing up the model of how you utilize your volunteers to make sure that they're in a safe environment and able to do tasks that are not necessarily in crowds of people, but are still really helpful for streamlining your operation. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with my. Is that better? That's better? Okay. Maybe I was too far away. Well, there we go.
No, you're totally fine.
So we're doing we're hosting what we're calling like private packing parties, where families are able to come in by themselves and be in a safe space by themselves, and hopefully, be able to give back a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of plays in with what you said about changing the way that you distribute things as well, with changing from being a shopping style shelter to actually distributing food directly into people's cars. So it's clear that those kinds of things take a toll in organizing different types of tasks that you have to give to your volunteers. And like Bryan mentioned, new training methods for those as well. So we really appreciate you guys kind of adjusting your business models. I know that could be really tough to do on the drop of a dime to meet the needs in our community.
It felt like 2 minutes, but it was probably like 14 hours or something. I mean, who's counting, right?
Yeah. So does anybody else have any other comments about that before we move on to the next question? Okay. So if a community member is struggling, how do they get help? How do they access your organization?
Gotcha.
So as I mentioned, we're distributing food once a week on Wednesday afternoons from 3 to 7 p.m. We're doing it from the cars, and we're asking people to just access us through the alleyway and go out onto Railroad Street as they leave. We also have, if there are people who have specific requests and needs, we're just asking people to email me directly, Shila@carencupboard.org. And we can try to arrange. There are lots of people who have said that they'd love to be able to deliver food or help people out in that way. So, if there are people who need that kind of help, we're just asking them to email. Phone call. They can call us too. 838-9493.
Bryan?
So we've gone to a virtual or in-person intake process, so we streamlined that voucher system down. So we prefer if folks could call in 717-272-4400 and they're able to call in, and we just do an over-the-phone intake process. So we're going to ask some basic questions that are basically helping us determine what type of a food we're going to pack for the folks. Do you have an oven? Do you have a microwave? Do you have pots and pans? Items like that, so that the last thing we want to do is give somebody a 15-pound frozen turkey and they don't own an oven. We want to focus on making sure that the resources we're giving them meet the resources they have at home. So that's really what the intake process is about. And then once the intake is done, we put the order request in, and then we'll fill that order. But I think that right now, one of the things that we're keeping at the front of our minds is that we want people to understand that we're a judgment-free zone. Call us. We want to help. We have always been good stewards of our donations, of our food dollars, to make sure that folks are using us as an emergency food provider and not a biweekly grocery provider. And those are two different things. We're trying to eliminate all those barriers right now. We're putting a lot of trust in our community. We've got some resources right now. Today we have resources. We want to be able to provide. So, just give us a call. We'll schedule the appointment, and we'll be good stewards of donations that we get from our community.
Yeah. And so just to kind of add on to the medical component there, are you guys talking to your guests about what they should do if they're feeling sick but are still experiencing food insecurity? Do you have certain protocols about hygiene or practices with working with your guests in this time?
For us, we're pretty strong on that. Individuals who are requesting food come here and do the intake process and get their food. Clearly, during this time, if you call in and say, "Hey, I'm not feeling well, can I send somebody?" We're working with that. So we want people to stay home if they're not feeling well. We are doing a distancing piece at our back door. So basically, what we're doing is we open the door, we hand the food out to our guests. They load their cars, they bring the cart back. We do a complete decon of the cart and start the process all over again. So, if somebody's not feeling well, we don't want you coming here for your food. We'll find a resource. We know we've got some folks in the community who are kind of raising their hand saying, "Hey, I can help in this way," and that's delivery. We'll figure that out for somebody. I'm not saying, look, we're not offering a DoorDash delivery system, but at the end of the day, we don't want people to go hungry. So we'll work to match some resources.
No DoorDash, no in-home chef provide.
No.
That's fair.
Any updates to that, Shila?
Yeah, so we're asking our families to just stay in their cars. We're asking them to not get out at all. And we're just trying to social distance as much as we can. So we haven't done a whole lot of information or education around COVID itself, mostly because we were completely slammed last week. It was for the first, hour and a half, we ran 100 cars. So we were really, really busy. And so we're just trying to get the bare minimum, what we need out of families so that we can keep the line moving. But yeah, we're just trying to keep everybody in the cars. Stay in your car. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know Bryan mentioned that people should call ahead if they need assistance. And Shila said that people can email ahead of time or call if they like. So I think that that's a good point to note, that that's a good general practice right now for most things. Calling ahead is great. So I'm interested, and I think some people in the community are interested in hearing how this increased demand has affected you guys, especially with what we're seeing in supply chains. We're seeing grocery stores that are running out of different resources. Is that affecting you from your suppliers, and how are you coping with those challenges?
Yeah, from our perspective, we started preparing for this to happen a few weeks ago. And so we were able to get in-house pretty quickly some of the items that we needed to make sure that we had at least the shelf-stable foods to distribute. then on top of that, our community has been really, really helpful. LCCM and I and us, we've been kind of sharing resources back and forth. We've had a lot of things happen, like the Army National Guard, who didn't drill. They sent us 4 tons of food. I'm sorry, 4,000 pounds of food one day. And so we've been getting some of those things kind of pop up as we roll along here. It is kind of funny because the community has responded really well in giving us financial resources to go and buy things. I'm a little nervous to go and buy, what I would normally go and buy in bulk, like 40 cases of mac and cheese at a time or that sort of thing. Cause I just don't. So I always make sure I wear my shirt like I'm repping. I have the band so that if anybody's questioning why I'm hoarding,
Right.
of chunky soup, it's because I'm really redistributing it. So, but right now in this moment, I think we're good, and I think it's getting better. We were able to place an order for bread this week, which was a really big thing. So now we have bread to make sure we have for our families. So yeah, in some ways there are still some things that are lagging, but we haven't totally felt that because we were able to prepare the Central PA Food Bank, like I said, and LCCM have been really great partners in making sure we have what we need.
Thanks, Shila. Bryan?
Yeah, I think one thing that is a huge take home from what Shila just said is that you have partners working together in the community for the same common goal. And that is so huge that, just know that if we have a surplus and Shila is short on that type of a thing, we're sharing resources. Shila was here Thursday with dropping the load off. We were up there today dropping the load off. So that partnership is really good for our community, and I think what our community needs right now. From a resourcing demand standpoint, one thing is when we're using private dollars to buy product, we can buy whatever we want. When we're using state dollars to buy product, we can only buy state-approved food. So from a bread, bread's a good example. We can buy bread, but we have to buy wheat bread on the state food purchasing. So we have seen, I will say, a slowdown in the product acquisition. What we used to be able to call and have delivered in 2 days is now a 4 to 5 day lead time. So what I keep talking to our staff and our volunteers about is it's forecasting. It's not what do the shelves look like today, but what are they going to look like in 3 to 5 days? Because I have to order today to fill what's going to be here in 3 to 5 days. So forecasting that from both a new meal perspective and from a food pantry and food bank perspective. And the reality is that our numbers are changing so aggressively day to day that I'm not sure we're projecting exactly what we need. And if we try to project greater than about 4 or 5 days out, we're going to find ourselves in a world of hurt. The curve is somewhere here, and we're not sure we even are able to tell you from day to day what that looks like. So we're banking on our food vendors to be able to keep supplying us and sourcing us. We have heard from them just, hey, place the order. We'll see if we can get it. Then we go from there.
Yeah, and another great thing to add is, our purchasing power sometimes is so much greater than somebody in retail land, right? So with the Central PA Food Bank and some of the other vendors we work with, we're able to buy something like a piece of cereal for $3, which is really great. So as Bryan mentioned, being good stewards of what people are giving us, we are really, really cognizant of how we spend our money and making sure we're getting the most bang for our buck. So we're getting good, healthy, wholesome foods, and we're able to make sure that that's stuff that, our families can benefit from. So all of the cash contributions have been so helpful in making sure that we have those things, because on the back end of this, I think we're going to have a lot of filling our shelves to do.
And so my hands go backwards on this camera, and you probably can't see what I'm trying to do here, but we're having this conversation about the private donor, private dollars. And one thing that we've often talked to our community members about is that it feels really good to come in and bring me, say, $20 worth of product. You go and you buy it at the store and you bring it in, and we love it. We appreciate it. We thank you for it. It's wonderful. But if we could take and put $20 of my purchases and $20 of your purchases as a community member side by side, they're different. We can buy a lot more with the private dollars. We appreciate and respect. You have to entrust us for your financial resources. So, that's a big deal for us. And what's going to happen is right now we're seeing an incline of the donor dollars, but we haven't necessarily seen the need do that spike yet. So they're going to cross mid path. So we have to be frugal right now in our spending so that we're ready in 2 months when the real impact hits, because now people have been jobless for 2 months, not they're preparing for being jobless. So we really want to make sure that we're keeping those in mind as we're getting donor dollars.
Yeah, that's really good information. And I think a lot of people don't really understand how food banks operate and how you guys are anticipating need that's coming down the pike. So I appreciate you guys. Yes, Shila.
I always tell people it's like running a grocery store with donated food. So if you ever wanted gloves, I would happily have anybody over for a shadow day.
That would be great. And just so everybody knows who's on the call, who might not know you both personally, could you just let everybody know your service area, where you're working and distributing food? Shila?
Sure, yeah. So we're in Palmyra. We're on North Railroad Street in Palmyra. Our service territory is the Palmyra and the Anvil-Cleona school districts.
Bryan?
Yeah, so we're at 250 South 7th Street, which is kind of a fictitious address, if you will, because it's a small section of 7th Street. But 7th and Locust, we're just a few blocks down from the Wellspring Good Samaritan Hospital. What was I just lost what I was supposed to be telling you. So that's what our location is. Oh, our service area. So we would service pretty much everything that Shila doesn't service. Joy Pantry provides a service in the Jonestown area, so the Northern Lebanon School District area. But I think Shila and I both would backfill that community if there was a need that would arise from there. So, City of Lebanon's Cornwall Lebanon School District, Elko School District. Elko right now is an area where we're really partnering with a school district to support their needs as a school district to help feed kiddos, and really kind of looking at that as part of our Eastern Pantry kind of concept. So we're partnering with them to get some food distributed down on the eastern end.
Yeah, and as a side note, Joy Food Pantry, they just changed their hours. So it's JOY. That's the Jonestown Outreach Pantry. You can find them on Facebook. They have a pretty good Facebook presence. They have a change of hours. I want to say maybe Friday, but you have to check on that. So that would be another place for people who are in the Northern Lebanon School District to get help.
Thank you. So we have a couple more minutes. So I have a couple more questions that we're just going to start wrapping things up. The first one is, what do you think that the community members should know about how you're responding to the COVID-19 crisis? Is there anything else that's really important for people to know about this?
Well, I think one thing is Shila and I very early on kind of shared our emergency plans of oh boy, here we go. What are we going to get ourselves into? So we've been planning for this, I think, pretty early. We're probably a solid 4 weeks into what our plan is. I think long-term, you can expect to see at LCCM, you can expect to see us continue with process of reducing the number of people coming in and out of the doors itself. So maybe more restricted lobby hours, day restricted lobby hours. We're working on things in our shelter right now that really restrict the in and out of our building. And then you'll start to see the food distribution adjust to the needs. So if 3 days in the afternoons doesn't work, we're going to end up adding a day to that. I can tell you that as a general thing, Good Friday is a day that my staff are off and we're on holiday. We're taking a holiday. We're going to readjust our time. We're going to distribute food on that Thursday. But my staff have been burning it at both ends, and they're going to get a day off. So we're going to do that. But you can just expect us. We'll keep responding to the demands, which, we can talk numbers here in a couple minutes after we talk about kind of projecting, but right now you can expect us to just keep responding to the demand.
Shila?
Yeah, I mean, there was never a moment where I said we're just going to shut the doors and we'll come back when this is all over, right? I very much, with all of my heart, have believed that this is a vocation for me. This is the calling. This is my job and passion and everything all wrapped into one. And so thinking that we have a store full of food and people who need it and we weren't going to do that there was never even a registration in my mind for that. So yeah, we're going to be here. We're going to do what we can. Even if that's me handing out bags to the back door, we're going to be there. We're going to try to do what we can and continue to respond in the ways that we're able to. So yeah, we'll be here too.
Thank you so much. And lastly, if somebody wants to help your organization, what can they do? Bryan?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is you can certainly go. We break all of our help down into three things: time, talent, and treasure. So from a time perspective, if you've got the time to give, please, sign up as an emergency volunteer. You'll get some e-blasts of times that we're available. If you have a specific talent that you have that you think we could benefit from right now, absolutely. From a treasure perspective, we promise we're good financial stewards. We need donor dollars. We know that it's going to take a while for us to get any federalized support if that's going to be coming at all. We're for the here and now, and we're planning for that. So if you want to go to lccm.us, there's a donate now button, and you can go to do that and donate online. Certainly you can mail contributions into us at 250 South 7th Street, Lebanon, PA 17042. So those are the biggest things that and we're still collecting food donations. So if you have donations you want to bring in date stuff that we can use, we'll gladly accept it.
Awesome. And I think that we just posted your LCCM link from United Way of Lebanon County in that live chat. So if people on Facebook are checking that out, you can click that link. Shila, anything from you?
It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I mean, at this point, we need volunteers to make our distributions work. We're engaging families in our little private packing parties that are happening on the weekends primarily. Anybody who wants to swing by and donate food. We had a church actually do a food drive for us on Sunday, and people were happy to get out of their house and drive by and put food into a truck and be on their way. So that was really cool, and we got a really good response from that. We have a website part of our website dedicated to this. It's careandcover.org/COVID-19. And there are just there's information on there, places to sign up to volunteer. And then you can see our give and our needs and that kind of stuff on there. So yeah, just as Bryan said, it's pretty much the same needs, just a different place to go.
Yeah, I think Dee, I'll throw a plug in for you guys. I mean, I know that the United Way started a fund as well right off the bat, and I think if somebody's out there going, "Ooh, LCCM carrying cupboard, where should I give?" Certainly giving to the United Way is a big deal because you guys already vetted us all out, and we'll be good stewards of sharing those resources. When the time comes, when it's appropriate as well.
For sure.
Thanks so much. I know that United Way of Lebanon County's Facebook page is posting links to both of your organizations. And I'm sure we'll post a link as well to our fund if people want to access that as well. But I just want to thank you both so much for the work that you're doing in the community. I know that it's been a lot of long hours and really not a lot of rest and increased demand with limited resources. So I just want to personally and from the community's perspective, thank both of you for working so hard on this. I know you're both really passionate about what you do and you do it well. So thanks again.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, guys. So I think if nobody else has any comments or additional things they want to say while we're still live, I'll give you guys an opportunity if you have any last words to add to our broadcast.
Yeah, I'll just throw out there real quick. And Shad, I think you probably are seeing some of the same stuff. As we said, the demand piece. Our new meal has typically averaged 130 guests a day. Yesterday we hit 212. We haven't seen numbers into the 200s since our kind of start in the Buffum Steel days back in the 1980s. And we've seen an increase of 42% in the food distribution piece. So when Shila, I think, mentioned earlier some of the numbers, the hundreds that she's seen come through, it's real. The numbers are real. We have 25. We're tracking individuals that are impacted by COVID, and we've had 25 individuals in a week and a half that came here specifically because of job loss, looking for food support. So it's real, and we're supporting it.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that we're trying to balance out here is we didn't have a whole lot of new families. But I think families are scared. And so, they're coming to us and getting food resources because they don't know that everybody is sort of, feeling this like anticipatory. They don't really know what's coming down the pike. And so, I think one of the things we're trying to do is just remain patient and trying to keep people people understand, like, we're going to be here. We may not be giving you exactly what you want. I know you can't choose the things, that kind of thing, but, we're doing our best, and we hope that people will, be okay with that. And, we're giving you some different stuff, and maybe you find a new recipe you like, who knows? But, we're trying to really, really dig in and hopefully, everyone understands that we're trying as best as we can, and that's all we can do. So, yeah.
Thank you. And I just skimmed over all of our live comments. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in live. We don't have any questions from the viewers right now, but I'll give an opportunity if anybody who's watching live has a last question for the folks that we have on here. Please feel free to submit it now in the live chat. We're getting a lot of thank yous and thumbs ups. But if you have a question, now's the time to submit it. And I'll just give a minute or two for people to submit a question. But I think that what you guys are doing is so important in the community. We'll just wait a little bit to see if anybody's submitting questions. And if any of you have anything else that you want to share, now would be a fine time while we're stalling.
Yeah, one of the things that Brooke and I talked about is one of the reasons why we get funding, or one of the things we get more funding, is to be able to provide some social navigation, or some community navigation. So I'm a master social worker, and I've kind of put it out there that if people need help with applying for unemployment benefits or any other benefits associated with the job losses and that kind of thing, we're here, and I'm able to do that on a pretty limited basis, but we should be able to accommodate some of that need. Our library is a little bit far flung, so access to internet, the libraries have been doing a good job with keeping their Wi-Fi open, but some of our families have a hard time getting there. So if people need any kind of assistance like that, I'm able to help with some of that.
Just because the audio was cutting out a little bit, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to quick summarize that. For people who are looking for more assistance with unemployment benefits, or if you need to access the Wi-Fi, you can go to the local libraries and get on their resources, or you can contact Shila to help out with some of those processes. Is that right?
Yep. Sorry. I don't know.
You're fine.
Hey, Dee, the libraries are closed, but most of the libraries have kept their Wi-Fi access open, so you can get in the parking lot.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. So it doesn't look like we're getting any questions from our viewers now. So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast coming up. But if everybody who's live right now like the series, please tune in again on Thursday. We're doing another community connection on the medical side of things. We're going to have someone from WellSpan talking to us. So definitely tune in to that if you want to be updated on all the things that are happening in our community. So thanks again to both of you for taking the time to be with us, and keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.